Welcome back to the YouTube. Today we have Grace, aka the Shift Workers Coach, aka Grass Number One, aka the Snitch.
It's quite funny, when I went doing my Ironman in France, they couldn't say Grace, so they used to call me Grass.
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 How do they know?
I was running past them while they were going, "Come on, Grass, you can do it." How do they know me?
That's fucking brilliant.
Oh.
There's nothing better than thinking of a copper going through an arduous run through the middle of France, the streets being lined with the public shouting "Grasser."
Yeah.
People dream of that happening, and you lived it.
Yeah,
was there someone with a bell in front of you as well, like grass, grass?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's immense.
It was
Why
funny.
you've only just brought that story up now, I'll never know, but that's going to help me sleep at night. Anyway, on to the real reason why we're here, other than to line the streets and shout at you.
Yeah.
No rotten fruit, no?
What?
You didn't throw any rotten fruit at you?
Oh, no. To be fair, they were all...
Just exercise gels.
Pretty much, yeah. Spray me with water.
Yeah. Well, close enough.
That was nice.
You know what? I'll take it, and it makes me happy, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Outside of that, since leaving so she's no longer a copper, so I wouldn't say it. Anyway, she's since left, which has now made her a viable person in my eyes of work. Become a very successful online coach. Still calls herself the Shift Workers Coach, so it sounds like you were still a little bit ashamed rather than the Coppers Coach.
Didn't want to pigeonhole myself.
Didn't want to pigeonhole herself is the reason that she's given. But you've made a very successful online coaching business from a very short fitness background, which I think is quite cool because you're not, again, not to like belittle your coaching knowledge and stuff like that, but you didn't really do a degree in any kind of coaching. You've not really done any kind of long-term high-level education in coaching, but yet you get great results with your clients and you attract lots of very kind of bought-in clients.
Yeah.
So I think today what we would like to do is discuss how you managed to pull that off without what some people would think of as like a massive history of coaching.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things I think we fight with a lot with coaches is they want to go away and do this certification and that certification and they want to be a master of this and a level 5 in that. And you've kind of got, the way that we think should be done, go get your level 3 and understand the people that you're working with is probably the best case scenario I find for coaching.
100%.
Talk me through your process of that.
So when I first started out, obviously I got all my mates. I literally coached all my mates. I was already coaching cops because I was still in the job.
When did you get qualified? Did you get qualified?
No, I'm not qualified. Yeah.
To be fair, I got told to do a level 3 and I just fucked it off. I was like, I'm not doing a level 3. I've got a fucking degree in sports science.
Yeah. It was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So started doing it alongside the job, but then only fully left 2 years ago. So before I left, like I said, I got all my mates. Every single one of my clients was one of my mates. And then slowly but surely just kind of transitioned towards coppers. I remember doing, one of them brand identity tasks that they give you in mentorships? And Lydia
just draw that dickhead hat on it. Just leave it there.
Lydia was in a mentorship at the time. And she was like, oh, you need to do this. So I started like answering all these questions and it kept coming up, police officer, police, copper. And I was like, no.
Grass. No. It's happening again.
And Lydia was going, you need to work with coppers. This is what it's telling you. And I was adamant that it weren't. I was like, no, because I was always going down the route of like fad dieters and people that were overweight because that was what I'd done.
Probably still is coppers though, right?
Yeah. So I was just always, thinking I was going to go down that route. And then the more I realised, like, I was actually working with coppers already. Like, my first clients were coppers.
Yeah, because...
and then, I think it's, like you were saying, it's not about, this qualification, that qualification, and do I need to further my knowledge in that? If you just focus on becoming a good coach, then that's where your results will follow. And I think, obviously, working alongside Lydia has massively helped me because I pretty much walked into a business that was already made.
Yeah.
She had the systems, she had the Facebook group, and I had that to kind of help guide me into my own path. But exactly what you said, if you focus on knowing your clients inside and out, knowing what makes them tick, knowing how to motivate them, knowing what the struggles are, like that is where your results are going to come in. It's not a qualification.
And you said the perfect thing as well, this yo-yo dieter thing. Right, I wanted to work with yo-yo dieters. Yo-yo dieting is still a generic thing, I think. Everyone yo-yo diets. Most people try and diet and then fall off the wagon and then fuck it off for a bit and then come back to dieting. That's such broad thing now that I think to truly like pick a niche out of that, you have to understand the reasons why they're a yo-yo dieter. Yo-yo dieter is more of like the symptom, and it's almost like you need to identify what the root cause of the problem is. And when you actually started working with like shift workers or especially coppers, for example, you know what then the things that are causing them to yo-yo diet are, because you understand the stresses of the job and the things that happen at home and the issues that they face. So I think if you'd have actually probably done that, you'd have been fucking nowhere near the position that you are now.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a symptom. Office workers are office workers are yo-yo dieters, but they're entirely different set of causes for that symptom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where exactly what you just said, like the night shifts, the stress, all the impacts that come with the shift work and what causes those poor eating habits. The inconsistency comes from, you know, the unpredictable nature of the job and all those other things that were causing the problem. And now that's when I started to address that in my content, when I know how to do that with my clients, when I know how to manipulate things with them and teach them how to navigate around the shift work, because it's not necessarily the yo-yo dieting that's the issue. It's the shift work and the impacts that that's having on them mentally and physically that they need the help with. It's not the fact that the yo-yo dieting is just a symptom of everything else that's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much like how I kind of narrowed it down. Obviously, working with the coppers that I was working with, I was getting a buzz from it because I knew exactly like the problems that they were coming to me with. I knew what to do. Like I had been them. I'd been in their shoes. So I knew exactly how to like navigate around every single issue that they were coming to me with. And it was rewarding. Like I was seeing people completely change their lives, like go from literally rock bottom to living the best lives. And when you're in that rut of shift work, you can't see the wood for the trees half the time, and you do feel like shit like a lot of the time. If you're not looking after yourself and you're doing shift work, you're fast track past a burnout, like standard. And most cops that come to me, I've lived like that for quite a long time. And that's where like the coaching program, More Life, that's where that comes from. Obviously, like it fits in line with what Lydia does as well. But I was like existing when I was a copper. I weren't really like living the life that I wanted to live. So I basically get them from existing to living more life, and pretty much like buzz off it, to be honest.
What was the resistance? Because you said like you kept doing this brand identity thing and it kept spitting out copper.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had to do that more than once before you took on the role.
Yeah.
So like, what was the resistance in actually, you know, it would make sense really. Like, oh, I was a copper. There's lots of coppers. I'm well known by, like, I would resonate with coppers. Why did you resist actually doing that in the first place?
Because I was scared to tell the world I was a copper. I didn't want to like expose myself as a copper.
But then why not just go for shift workers? Or did it take you a while to kind of figure that out?
I prefer the name like shift work, because shift, that's the bit that they're struggling with. It's not the fact that they're a copper, it's the shifts that they're struggling with. So for me, that fit better.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 people in the NHS and I've got 1 firefighter. I don't really get that many people coming to me unless they're a copper because of my content. But the issues that they're faced with is the shift work. So it stood out better for me because they come to me, the first thing they're saying is shifts. Shift. It's this shift, night shift. Like it is the shift work.
So did it just take you a while to maybe figure out, I don't have to particularly say I'm a copper. I just need to focus on that issue. And people who have that issue will find me, and most of them are going to be coppers.
Pretty much, yeah. It was actually Simon that started off with the shift work. He was like, you're basically living, eating and breathing that right now. And then Lydia had told me to do this brand identity, and it all just kind of like fitted together. But I forgot what you asked me.
What was the initial resistance in actually picking that as a niche? But then you said it was Was there anything about not wanting to narrow down and things like that, or was it purely you just didn't want to tell people you were a copper?
Yeah, I think it was more the fear factor. It was scared to put myself out there. And then the minute I did, like what the first ever comedy reel that I did with that hat on, that comedy hat, it just went so far, and it was making people laugh. And I think that's really important for my niche, because they're stressed a lot of the time. They're at work, they're stressed, they're dealing with crap day in and day out. And I'm putting a funny spin on things for them, like I'm making them laugh. So yeah, my content's a mix of educational, but then the comedy side of it is what people love.
Yeah.
And I think that was really important for me to actually get that out there as well, to make people laugh.
Have you always been that kind of person, or was that a bit of a learning curve?
What do you mean in terms
like,
of
would
like...
you get up and do karaoke and shit like that? Oh, you would? Yeah. So that's like very much you.
To be fair, like it'd take me a few drinks to do it.
Did you have to get pissed a couple of times before you did your content?
No, to be fair, like honestly, I remember making the first one and I thought, this actually comes quite natural. I'm wasted being a coach. I need to be on Hollyoaks. But yeah, like the first one that I did, I thought I can actually do this. Like I liked doing it. And that's where it all just kind of spiraled from there. I was enjoying making the funny ones.
So how big of a role do you think, like you being because you are a coach, but you're also a content creator. I think those are the two things that kind of like marry hand in hand with being an online coach. I don't think you can really do one without the other, to be fair. What are your like big takeaways from like content creation? Like what would you say to the people? Because your content is probably like one of the highlights of your kind of coaching business and why it does so well.
Yeah.
So what would you say to other people who are maybe a bit apprehensive about the content creation side of things?
You just got to put yourself out there, like literally put yourself out there, but also every single bit of content that you are creating, make it for the person that you want it to hit. Like don't be boring, pretty much. Like make sure you've got educational stuff on there, but if you've got a funny personality, or whatever it is in terms of your personality that people, your like attributes, put it on your socials, like, because I held that back for quite a long time, and since I've done that, that's where the content, like my following's grown. But as much as it's got rid of people that I don't want, it's attracted the people that I do want. So I remember hearing ages ago, it was like, don't just create content to attract people, but create it to repulse people as well. So every time I put a picture on in my uniform, it gets rid of like some drug dealers and then it brings on some more coppers.
So if you want more clients, it's great. If you ever need balloons at 3 a.m,
you're
fucked it.
Screwed pretty much, yeah.
Ah, well.
No hotline bling.
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts. Thank you very much for that. It was very, very insightful. If people want to find you and see your content and kind of see this in action, where can they find you?
Instagram at the Shift Workers Coach. I'm on TikTok as well, same name.
Is it the same name? You didn't go for like Carby Copper or anything like that? No. Made that up off the top of my head. Shit,
Carby Copper, it's a good one, that.
Carbs and Coppers.
New program name there.
Yeah, Carbs and Coppers. There you go. I'll take a royalty. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed that and you want to see more of these interviews with our coaches and things like that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you get notified, and we'll see you next time.